Hey Sneaky Nation, in this episode of Warframe, yes, Ash is finally back in the series, but even more importantly, he's going to be showing off the complete Stalker weapon loadout. Don't forget to click like to show your support, and if you're new, join the rest of us in Sneaky Nation by clicking subscribe. Okay, so first up, we have Ash. I try to make him look a little bit like the Stalker. Didn't get too close, but I got somewhat close. I mean, I have the smoke color pack, which the Stalker uses, and I still think he looks pretty fierce and cool nevertheless, so it works regardless. Alright, now next up is the Dread. This is the primary weapon the Stalker uses. It's a bow, dealing primarily slash damage, as you can tell on the right hand side clearly. And then the Despair throwing stars are his secondary, dealing primarily puncture damage. And then finally the Hate is his scythe. This deals primarily slash damage as well. We'll take a look at the actual mod setup I have after we get some gameplay in there, so let's get started. First up, let's start with the Dread, his primary weapon, and very likely the best weapon he actually drops, my personal favorite. That was a one-hit kill, so already a good sign. I mean, the thing is, the slash damage on this is so high that there's really no faction that stands a chance against it. Every faction is affected by slash damage on some level, most importantly the Infestation, because they have nothing protecting their flesh. If you just puncture through the Grenier's armor, you get down to their flesh, and then you impact the Corpus's shields, you get down to theirs as well. But so far so good. I want to see how it works against a heavy gunner. Once we see one of those, we'll really know how good it is. Plus, keep in mind, these enemies really aren't nearly as high of a level as we can potentially get. This does have a catalyst installed on it, so it's kind of close to what it could potentially do. However, I can still definitely use some formulas on it. I already have some ideas of what I'd like to do ultimately mod-wise for it. So I think I can make this really, really powerful. And still no heavy gunners. Where are they? This is... oh man, this is so amazing. I'm not really a bow player, but I like this a lot. It also has a really high critical chance too, which is that... damn, man. Yellow and red for the win. Look at how high that is. I mean, I think the Paris Prime, I actually got that one higher, but we can certainly get this one up high too. And versus the Paris Prime, I'm not really sure. I kind of like the way the Paris Prime sounds more than this one. Like, this one has like a weird sound, I think. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good bow. It just... I'd probably take the Paris Prime over this one. I have to use it some more, though. See if we can actually get it stronger than the other one. Can't even have a debate on which bow is the best. I mean, I know a lot of people prefer the Dread over the Paris Prime, but who's right, who's wrong? Who knows? I'd say this is still... I can't believe how good this is. Damn! You guys suck! Dread for the win! Double time! Next up, we're going to try the Despair throwing stars. I'm not really a big fan of throwing stars myself. I never cared for the kunai, and I never even tried the other type of throwing star. Oh my goodness, who was that? Oh, we have a bombard, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Okay, it's not really doing too great against him. It should do better against the Grenier faction, if anybody, because that has a high puncture damage compared to all the other types of damage it deals. Alright, so I mean, it's not terrible. This is actually the only stock weapon I have not installed the catalyst on yet, so this one still has plenty of way for improvement. One of the definite things I think it needs is definitely a faster fire rate, that's for sure. It already has a multi-shot mod on it. We'll take a look at all these mods after we finish this mission. But yeah, not too shabby so far. I mean, if I was going to become a Throwing Star fan, I think this one might be pretty decent at showing me that they're actually not too shabby. Then again, I still don't like them that much. And finally, we have the Hate, the melee weapon of choice. Now, especially with Ash, it makes more sense to be invisible while this is active. Just like it is with Loki. You still deal higher damage when you're invisible with melee, which is a really cool feature. They haven't changed it as far as I know, so maybe someone can correct me if I am mistaken, but I believe that is still very much the case. And this does have a catalyst on it. I'd say it's pretty effective, and oh man, I hate that. I hate this guy. If you run through that with your invisibility or any other thing active, any ability active, he will make it disappear. That's why this guy's a jerk. Alright. Plus the stance mod on this makes it have a really cool animation when you swing it all about. This would obviously look really good in the hands of a Necros because he does naturally look very good with a scythe. Because, you know, the whole Reaper of Death thing. Oh yeah, we got a Fane Prime Blade. Not bad, not bad. I mean, I already have the Fane Prime still. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Alright, let's see how it works against the Moa. I mean, it's not too bad, not too bad. I don't think it's going to become one of my favorite melee weapons, but it's still pretty decent. Good night, Pally, good night. Oh, good night. Sliced in half. Oh, didn't see that coming. Now, this one deals primarily slash damage, so this should be effective against all factions, of course. And, I mean, it looks decent, I just don't think it's going to be great in the long term. Still pretty fun to use, though, in combination, especially when you want to pretend that you are the Stalker. Who knows, maybe they'll come up with a Stalker skin, that way we can all pretend to be the Stalker. Now, before we get going here, we're going to take a quick look at the mod setups for these three weapons. First up is the Dread. Serration is the go-to mod because it increases damage, always have that on there. Speed Trigger increases the fire rate, so when you're holding down the trigger for the bow, you're waiting for the actual circle to fill up. The higher this is, the faster that goes, so you can essentially fire it as fast as you want at this point. And then Heavy Caliber is a corrupted mod, increasing damage at the cost of accuracy. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference in the accuracy from it. I mean, maybe at really long range, but up close, it doesn't really have too much of an effect from what I've seen. Point Strike, gotta take advantage of that critical chance. As you can see at the max rank, this is up to 125%, which is insane. And then Split Chamber increases multi-shot, which actually fires multiple arrows for every one you do fire, so it obviously increases the damage itself. And then Vital Sense increases the critical damage, which is up to a 4.4. Obviously, I'd like to further improve this, like putting a slash mod on there too, to get that slash damage up. If I could get that up to like 2,000, that'd be crazy. So in order to do that, I'm going to definitely need to install some Formas and polarize this. Next up, we'll take a look at the Despair. This is the only one that does not currently have a catalyst on it. But we do have Hornet Strike. This is important for all secondaries. It's the base damage. It's the equivalent of Serration. Barrel Diffusion increases multi-shot, so every star I throw actually throws multiple stars. Slip Magazine increases the magazine capacity, which I like to get up higher than that. We'll definitely further improve that. And then Gunslinger increases the fire rate, which it's definitely faster, but there's even more mods that I can do to even further improve that. So we're going to look into that for sure. And then finally, the Hate. We're using Reaping Spiral in the stance mod slots. That actually matches the polarity icon, so it gives us further points to equip down here. And it's also pretty nice, as you've seen in action. Pressure Point is the go-to mod for melee damage. And that is, of course, the equivalent of Hornet Strike and Serration in the melee sense. True Steel increases critical chance, which is currently at 16%. Not very high, but still trying it out. And then Organ Shatter is increasing critical damage, which is 3.8 right now. Spoiled Strike is a corrupted mod increasing damage at the cost of attack speed. I mean, I already have another mod on here increasing attack speed, Fury, so it doesn't really have as much of a negative effect, but still, it might be nice to actually focus on like attack speed over damage, because depending on if you make one fast enough, it could actually cancel out the need to do more damage, if you know what I'm saying. And then Rendering Strike is a cool mod because it increases both slash damage and puncture damage. Buzzkill increases slash damage. I was taking full advantage of that, which is clearly the highest stat on there, 376.3. And finally, Reach is increasing the range, so you don't necessarily have to be right next to somebody to actually make contact with them. So these can be further improved for sure, but that's the current setup I'm going with for them. I think they're definitely pretty fun. They're certainly worth getting. I mean, in order to farm them, you have to go and get the Stalker after you, which you can have him mark you for death by going and killing bosses around the solar planet. And then eventually show up. You can actually increase your chances of seeing him if you have 4 people with you and you're all marked by the Stalker. Then you just have to make sure you take him out, and there's a chance he'll drop one of the weapon blueprints. I actually did manage to get lucky. I was playing with Ace, and I'm sure you remember earlier in the series, hashtag blame Sapper, we were playing with Sapper too. And the Stalker came after me. I was just running around letting them do all the damage to him so that we could try to kill him. And he actually managed to drop 2 of the blueprints at once, which was really cool. And then I think I already had the other blueprint I didn't have before that. or the other blueprint he had dropped before that, so that managed to get me all 3 of them, and that was actually a year ago, so it's about time we finally get these into the series. It's been a long time coming. I think it was worth the wait though. I wanted to get them in sooner, but good things come to those who wait. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, I do hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to click like to show your support, and if you're new, join the rest of us in Seeking Nation by clicking subscribe. Let's get in some light here, and I will see you next time.